Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? People do message me from time to time, and sometimes you have nice things to say. Most of the times you only message me when you disagree with me, you're mad at me, you want to yell at me, you want to curse at me, and that's fine. It's part of the gig. I got a message from this fellow on Instagram, and he said, I hope your praise for our beloved Saints is just as loud as some of your bewildering criticisms, if when they prove everybody wrong. Would anybody characterize my criticisms as bewildering? Would you say, like, is there anything I've done, you listen to me every day, that would be bewildering?
Not bewildering.
Paulie, you're a Saints fan. Bewildering criticisms?
I don't think so.
Okay. I went on to say to myself, I replied, I said, you must not follow me long. Praise when earned, criticism when warranted. My job is to give honest opinions. I'll never BS my audience. You may not like what I have to say, but you'll never question if I'm being honest. He comes back. I hear you and I respect it. But you recently called the receiving group trash. Fact check. Muse Paulie. Have I called the New Orleans Saints receivers trash? Not to my knowledge. Paulie? Trash?
Not that I can remember.
I have criticized this group a lot. Olave's been a 1,000-yard receiver twice, but he's got serious concussion issues and there's long-term questions. Rashid Shaheed's coming off an injury, and while he is an excellent deep threat, he's also a one-trick pony, and he's small. What I've very consistently said is they need a big-bodied receiver, and they need depth. Because after those two guys, they've got nobody else. With respect to Dante Pettis, with respect, is the other St. Brown not Amon-Ra, like the
Equanimous?
Yeah, is he still around?
I don't think so.
Gone, yeah. Point being, they stink. Like they don't have a good. It's arguably the worst receiving core in the NFL. Like you don't have a true legit number one game breaker. I think Olave is a very good player. I think he'd be a better number two somewhere behind a guy that's a legit number one. Anyway, he went on to praise Shaheed, Olave, and Cooks. And I also said about Cooks is the problem I have with Brandon Cooks is he's the same guy as you have with Olave and Shaheed, except he's old and he's been declining the last 3 years. That's undeniable. Like that is a fact. That's not a bewildering criticism. Anyway, he goes on to say, I'm just saying, sometimes you sound like you're not a fan of the franchise. They've made some questionable and downright terrible moves, but I think this is the most refreshing offseason we've had since 2019. Now, I have said that. Dennis Allen needed to go, and I wanted a full reset. They weren't going to reset because they restructured Derek Carr. They were going to proceed as they always did. They were forced into this reset now because of Derek Carr's retirement, which they bungled. Anyway, all that to say, yes, I have lobbed a lot of criticism, and I believe it is all been warranted. I think Mickey Loomis is proving to be an awful general manager who continues to bury this team in awful salary cap situations. They have drafted poorly. That is also an objective truth. You wasted a first-round pick on Trevor Penning where you actually traded up, so you gave up multiple picks to take him, and it's proven like you've not gotten the value of a first-round pick there. Obviously, the 40th pick that you used on edge rusher from Notre Dame. What's his name?
Foskey?
Isaiah Foskey. Thank you. Totally just blanked. Isaiah, that's a problem. Kendre Miller. You've obviously got nothing out of Kendre Miller, who's a third-round pick. Jordan Howden. You've tried to make him a starter in the safety. Like, where's the good? I mean, that's the point. Like, I would love to say great things. There's just not a lot of great things to say, if we're being very honest. But I will share one with you that I think is encouraging. And this is somewhat going to be of a contradiction of sorts because I think when we talk about Alvin Kamara, there's the illustration here is sort of ironic in that I'm going to use something that most would view as negative to explain a positive for the franchise, which does illustrate that the franchise is in a very bad place. Let me explain. Pro Football Focus listed the top 32 running backs for the 2025 season. And Kamara, who had a 76.6 PFF rushing grade last year, which is good. That means you're a good starting grade. Alvin Kamara, number 20 in the NFL. The write-up is Kamara was once the gold standard of versatility, someone who's guaranteed to rack up rushing yards, produce efficiently after contact, and provide fantastic outputs as a receiver. he's still all of those things, just a less impactful level at 30 years old. Kamara earned a 76.6 PFF rushing grade in 2024. For whatever it's worth, for context, he is one spot ahead of David Montgomery and one spot behind Aaron Jones. So you could just look at those players and say that's your sort of comp. But I was not in favor of giving Alvin Kamara a multi-year extension a year ago. And the reason was because Kamara had been declining for 3 years. That is an objective fact. Alvin Kamara had declined for 3 years before last season. And so you were talking about a guy who once in his career, as a rookie, played in 16 games, which at the time was the full season. He's only played a full season once as a rookie. He's never played a full season other than that. And each of the last 3 years, when you look at his yards per carry, he had declined from a guy that was averaged 5 yards per carry in 2020, the COVID year, and then went to 3.7, 4.0, 3.9. I mean, he was dipping and approaching 30. And you don't typically see running backs excel into their 30s. Well, what happened for Alvin Kamara a year ago, coming off an injury-plagued season where he only played in 13 games, Alvin Kamara had a very nice bounce-back year where he ran for 950 yards, which was, by the way, a career high. 950 rushing yards. Remember, he ended up just 50 yards shy of his first 1,000-yard season. He got injured at the end of the year, missed the final game of the season. That cost him the opportunity to rush for 1,000 yards. But 6 touchdowns, rushing, receiving the production was quite good as well. He had 68 receptions for 543 yards. The 68 receptions were the most since the COVID year when he had 83, and the 543 receiving also the most since that COVID year. So you saw Alvin Kamara last year have a very nice bounce back after 3 consecutive years of declining production. And I would tell you that is encouraging to think that maybe Alvin Kamara, while I think the way Pro Football Focus said it, is right. He may not be an elite level back anymore. He's not a top 10 back in the NFL, but he can still be a very productive player. Now, I also mentioned as we started, I didn't like the multi-year contract, to invest multi-years into a veteran player at that position. And remember, when they extended Kamara, they did it in October of last year. So during the season in October is when they gave him the 2-year extension, which covered 2025 and 2026. And in so doing, it freed up $18 million in cap space this year. So the Saints gave themselves $18 million of cap relief for 2025, but it committed them to Kamara financially for 25 and 26. So he has $18 million against the books next year in 2026. And that's where we may look at it and say, if Kamara declines this year, then you're staring at 2026 going, we got an $18 million hit coming for a declining player. So that's kind of where the irony comes into play. In praising Alvin Kamara, I'm praising them for doing something that actually might end up being a net negative to the franchise in time. But it is rare to see a running back that is resurgent after 30 years old, and he's only played 1 full season. But if Alvin Kamara can stay healthy, which he has not shown the ability to do throughout his NFL career, but if he is able to stay healthy and play a full 17-game season, you still have a productive player on that offense. And remember, the New Orleans Saints a year ago, despite Kamara's individual success, finished second to last in the NFL in rush offense. So you really would like to see this team find a way to regain some of that ability on the ground. And when you look at not only Kamara, but also the offensive line, you have 4 first-round picks on your offensive line. 4. And the other guy is your center, Eric McCoy, who was a second-round pick, and in his draft was your first player taken. You've got to get production out of that group. Cesar Ruiz, Taliesin Fuanga, Trevor Penning, Kelvin Banks, who you just drafted, and then Eric McCoy. You have so much draft capital invested in that offensive line. You've got to keep Tyler Shuck upright, and you've got to be able to run block for Alvin Kamara to let him continue to be productive. If you do that, maybe you could start to generate some semblance of a competent offense, which you were not a season ago. Okay, was that positive?
Kinda, yeah.
Ish?
It was more positive.
More
maybe
positive.
Some other things, yeah.
I just wonder, what would people have me do when we talk about the Saints? Tell me the thing that I could do that's going to make you happy. That's just so overtly positive about this team. You want me to tell you that I think Ellen Moore is going to be a Hall of Fame coach and win multiple Super Bowls? I can't tell you that. Coaches in the NFL are hired to get fired. Coaches get hired every single year and get fired every single year. Do I think Tyler Shuck is going to end up being a Pro Football Hall of Famer? I don't. We rattled off the list of every second-round quarterback taken all the way back to 2013. 2 became consistent NFL starters. Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr. That's it. That's the list. So the odds are against you. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's improbable. But we'll let it play out. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.